everybody and welcome back. Happy Tuesday or whatever day it is, wherever you are. I thought I'd do a little vlog this week and take you with me whilst I make some project bags to put my knitting in. I'm on a bit of a mission in 2026 to get myself a little bit more organised where it comes to my projects, and I have got all of this to sort out as well. So this is my entire yarn stash, which I'm surprised I've managed to fit into just one box. So that's quite nice. I will then be using the second box to sort out my fabric stash so that it can all end up in this cupboard over here. And I thought a good way to kind of get a little bit more organised would be to make myself some like dedicated project bags that I can put all of the yarn for the project that I'm working on in, and then just have it all in one place and it's not all dotted about. And I've got everything that I need and all that kind of thing. I've left the one that I've already made downstairs, but let me go and grab that so I can show you what I'm going to be making. Oh, I'm really out of breath after running up the stairs. Okay, so, oh gosh. Okay, so this is the one that I made a couple of weeks ago. I made this out of some corduroy and some leftover gingham cotton that I had in my stash. And this is the quilted drawstring bucket bag by Rosie Caldwell. And so it's got a round quilted base, and then all of the sides are quilted, and then it's got like a drawstring at the top and tons of pockets and space in the middle. So there's pockets that go all the way around, which is really nice. And the thing I really love about these is the fact that they stand up on their own. So when I'm working, ow, oh, that hurt. So when I'm working on my projects, when I'm sat down on the sofa, I can just pop this in front of me, pull my project out, and then the yarn stays in there and it doesn't roll around or anything, and everything's contained in here. So it's much easier to kind of have everything held together. Because usually I leave everything on my desk, which is next to the sofa, and then I come to sit down and use my desk and it's covered in yarn or notions or whatever, and then I end up losing things as well. So I'm trying to be more organised, and I think that these project bags are going to be a bit of a solution for me. It's also going to help me kind of like line up my projects a bit better, because I thought if I have a multitude of these bags in different sizes, then I can have my next project lined up in the bag and all of the stuff is there ready to go when I want to get going on it. And I don't have to then faff about trying to find things in my stash, because I want to have it in the big plastic boxes so that it's better protected from bugs and all that kind of thing, especially since we're moving into the warmer months where I'm going to have the windows open and everything. It's always the stress that I have. So yeah, I did start making one yesterday. So over the weekend, me and my little girl made these quilt blocks out of some scraps that I've had lying around in my fabric boxes. And so I made 4 of them and sort of surrounded them with this kind of sparkly, fairy-like kind of looking fabric. And then the inside is just a green gingham, and I've put the pockets in, and I am about to start doing the bias binding. So I thought I'd take you guys along with me whilst I finish up making this one. And then I really enjoyed making the quilt blocks to make the fabric for the outside of this bag. So I want to try making another one for a medium-sized bag. This is also a large, because I like having the red one for projects for my husband, and I thought I could use this one for projects for me and just, you know, mix and match a little bit. And then I want to have a medium one and a small one as well. So that's what I'm going to carry on making for the rest of this week. But I used a sort of little like diagram that I found on Pinterest to make the star block for this bag. And then I was scrolling through the other day and I found that there was a much easier way to make the like half square triangles. So I want to try out that. And so I thought I could just rearrange the half square triangles to make a nice pretty pattern or something to make the next one. But first I do need to finish this. So I need to sew down this bias binding and fold it over so that encases the seam that holds the 2 edges of the sides together. And then I need to sew the bottom on, bias bind the bottom, and sew on the drawstring at the top. And I need to make the ties. So that's a fair bit to do. I am starting a bit later this afternoon than I had initially intended. It's now 12:30, because I decided I wanted to try and make some lemon buns. So that's what I've been up to this morning. They are currently sat downstairs proving. So I'm hoping that they are actually going to turn out okay. I'll show you them when I go and put them in the oven. So I think they've got like another hour or so to hopefully rise and become more bun-like. So yeah, hoping that that's gonna come to fruition, because I really love a like sticky bun, but I don't really like cinnamon buns very much. So I thought if I can make them with lemon, then that would be absolutely wonderful. And a really nice, like sort of slightly fresher take on it. Also, they're still full of sugar, so it'd be a nice sticky bun. I am going to get going sewing on this bias binding and sewing the bottom on. And I thought I'd take you guys with me. This isn't going to be anywhere near like a tutorial or anything. There is actually a video tutorial for this pattern, and I am in no way an expert, but I thought it would just be fun to kind of take you guys along and show you the process. I am probably going to film me sorting out my yarn stash as well, so if you guys are interested in that, please do let me know in the comments down below. But yeah, let's just have a nice cozy couple of days, making some project bags, baking some buns, that kind of thing. One bottom pinned in. Okay, I have just finished putting the bias binding around the bottom, so now that is all done and dusted, but my timer is bing bonging downstairs to go and have a look at the buns that I'm making. So should we go and have a look at those and hopefully get them in the oven, and then I can carry on with this project bag. Okay, they have actually risen quite a lot, but I'm going to get these in the oven and then get back to doing some sewing. I'm really hoping that these turn out okay, because I've never been able to successfully make something that involves like making a bread dough. So it'd be nice to have one successful like bread dough recipe that I can actually do, but I'm not feeling overly confident. Okay, so whilst they are baking, I am going to get going on the drawstring section of this bag. Apologies if the sound has suddenly changed. I had to take my microphone off because the receiver had suddenly decided it was going to run out of battery. So yeah, no microphone, just have to put up with whatever sound is like. The only reason I tend to use it more in this room is because there are 3 windows in here, and so if someone whizzes past the road on a really loud, oh there we go, if I tilt you upwards then I don't have to duck. If someone whizzes past with like a really loud car or a motorbike or something, you can hear it and it's really annoying. Also, sometimes if people are like doing a lot of construction and things outside, then I end up with a lot of background noise, which is sometimes quite distracting. So yeah, it's just easier to use my microphone, but as it has died, I'm just not going to bother. I've only got about 15 minutes left on that bake because I've made the icing as well whilst I was downstairs. So I'm wondering if I can get this finished before the buns are ready, and then I can get going on making the next one, which I'm really excited for. Making this one and doing all of the quilting, which will be on the outside. I just need to keep this that way around for now. Yeah, making that one has really kind of made me fall in love with the idea of quilting and making making the patchwork fabric. So I'm kind of considering the idea of maybe making a quilt, which I know is a massive undertaking, but I think it'd be fun. And one of my friends suggested to me a book that they already have where you essentially walked through a load of different quilt blocks, and so like it teaches you how to make them, and then you're sort of by the end of it able to make a ton of different types of quilt blocks, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I've not made any big decisions yet because I feel like taking on a big project like a quilt is maybe not the best thing to do whilst I'm also trying to work through my yarn stash at the same time, because that's just going to slow down the process. I don't know, maybe in the future there is a quilt waiting for me to get going on. But anyway, I'm going to get sewing on this and then hopefully have some edible buns by the time I have finished. Even if these don't taste good, they look pretty good. So I'm going to take that as a small win. And it's done! I do still need to put the drawstrings through. So then I can actually do it up, but it's all done and ready for me to put some yarn in, ready for my next project. I do also need to trim all of the little extra threads that are just hanging off it, but I'm going to do that tonight. But now I do need to run out the door and go and get the little one from school. But I'm so happy with how this looks. It's such a beautiful project bag. I'm so glad that I chose to use these quilt blocks that me and the little one made at the weekend to put this together. So yeah, tomorrow we can get started on making the fabric for the medium and maybe even the small ones, and then I will have a new array of project bags. Oh, I'm just so happy with this. It's absolutely beautiful. But I do still have to get these through, which is a bit of a pain in the bum, but once it's done, and then I don't have to worry about it anymore. Everybody, good morning. It's Wednesday. I am hopefully going to get all of the fabric made for the small and medium project bags today. I have rewatched the tutorial that I saw on Pinterest to make multiple half square triangles, and I think for the medium one I'm going to do like a pinwheel kind of design and kind of arrange the half square triangles like that so that I can have like a fully quilted fabric, and then I'll just do a plain top and probably a plain bottom. I did think it would be cute to do like a pinwheel on the bottom, but to be honest, nobody is going to see it and it's just a lot of extra work. So I probably am going to keep the bottoms plain, which kind of takes out a lot of extra work for me. If it was like a barrel bag or something, then I would definitely do like stars on either side, because I think that would be really sweet if I make another of like the kit bags that I made for my daughter, because they've got barrel sides, like circular sides. But yeah, it just seems a bit pointless for the bottom of a project bag that is always going to be sat on the bottom. So yeah, I'm not going to bother with that. Thankfully this morning, the pens that I use on my fabric, the Pilot friction pens, arrived, so I can get going and actually use those, because the last one that I had ran out yesterday. So yeah, thankfully those arrived this morning. And yeah, I guess we're just going to get going. I'm feeling a little bit croaky today. My daughter has a cold and I'm hoping that I don't have it, and it's just the fact that I haven't really spoken a lot this morning. And I'm going to get into the swing of it, but I've got my absolutely enormous bottle of water and a cup of tea to help kind of sort that out. I've been digging in my fabric stash and I found this pillowcase from a duvet set that I bought solely to sew with. I got it secondhand on Vinted and it was still in the packaging and everything, so that felt like an absolute bargain. I think I got it for like £4.50 or something, and it's 100% cotton. So I think I'm going to use this as like the backing for my back, like as the more plain section of my pinwheel design. I also have some plain white that I may use for, well, actually half of the pillowcase is plain white, so yeah, I think I might use that for like the top and the inside, or I may use that for the small bag and then use some more of this red gingham that I still have absolutely tons of to make some kind of design on that. But I also have these Liberty fat quarters that I got in the sale in John Lewis, I think, a little while ago. And some of them obviously are very Christmassy. Obviously we've got some robins, and this one is sort of like a Christmas gingerbread biscuit design. But this one doesn't really feel all that festive. It just feels kind of berry-y. I'm sure it is supposed to be festive. And then there's like ice skaters, which is quite a nice like wintry design. And then there's this one with kind of like snowy houses. Which way up is that way? And I quite like this with this as a kind of contender for the like pinwheel design. So I think I'm going to do that, and then yeah, just do some of the gingham for the small one. I might even use the rest of this green gingham that I have left over from the larger one that I've just made. So yeah, I'm gonna just get going cutting out some half square triangles and just see how much I get done, really. It's 10 o'clock now. Obviously I have to stop for lunch, but I have pretty much the entire day free to just be getting on with this. So yeah, I'm just gonna see how much I can get done in the time. Okay, I have just done my first set of half square triangles. I wanted to try out the technique before I like showed me doing it on camera, because I wanted to kind of get my head around what I was doing. But this is what I have. I've decided to, oh hang on. But this is what I have. So I pivoted on the patterned fabric and decided to just use the white. And so this was the like pinwheel kind of design that I was going to go for. And then I think I'm going to cut some strips and do like a stripe down the bottom and on the top. I've just put it on top of the medium pattern piece so that I can kind of see what I need to do. So I think I need to do 2 more of the pinwheels so that I can cover the entire pattern piece, and then I need to cut the strips so that I can do the stripes for the top and bottom. But I think it's going to be really nice. I think that it's kind of wintry but not too Christmassy, so I think it's still going to be useful for the next couple of months, although to be honest, knowing me, I'll probably use it all year round because I'm not fussy. I might make another one for like spring summer, but to be honest, I'm not all that fussy. So yeah, I'm gonna cut the next set of half square triangles and the strips, and then we can finally get round to sewing this all together. And then I need to have a think about what I want to do for the small one as well. Okay, so now I've got my head around what I'm doing. So essentially all I've done is cut 2 8-inch squares, and I'm just going to put them on top of each other. I'm sure there are people out there who are going, of course you do this, why on earth would you not do this? This is the simplest way, but it's new to me. And then I will first of all make sure that the corners actually line up. There we go. And then I've just been drawing a line from corner to corner and a line from corner to corner the other way. And then I've been sewing one line on this side of the line and one line on this side of the line for either of those, and that connects them all together, and then I'll just cut across the lines and then cut down this way and that way as well, and then it will make me a load of half square triangles. So I'm going to get this sewn and then I'm going to cut it up. Oh, hello Ruffles. And then that's all of my half square triangles done, and I just need to cut the strips to make the stripes. And of course the dog is knocking the tripod. Okay, I kind of just powered through there and didn't really update you on very much, but I have just finished making the fabric for the medium-sized bag. So I've done the pinwheels, and then I just did some 2-inch stripes up the top. So I've made the fabric much bigger than the pattern piece because obviously when you quilt it then shrinks, so I'm gonna probably have like half the amount of this stripe on the top and bottom. So that is that, and I'm gonna see if I can get some work done on the smallest bag, the outside fabric for that as well, before I have to go and get the little one from school in about 45 minutes. So not very much time at all. I always forget how long making fabric actually takes, but I'm really happy with how that one's turned out. So I'm going to be doing a fairly similar technique for the smaller one, but I'm going to do, I'm not sure how well this is going to show up. I'm going to do this block, which is essentially made by doing roughly the same thing as I did before, except you only cut the triangles, like you only cut the, what am I trying to say? So you cut 2 squares the same size, you sew them together, and then you only cut them once. So, and then you rearrange the fabric into strips and rearrange the strips to make this. So that's roughly what I'm going to do for the smallest one. I'm going to try and measure the fabric so that it's just a little bit bigger than the pattern piece, so that I only have to make that and I don't have to make any border for it. So yeah, I'm going to have a dig around, find some fabric and start making a go at doing this, and hopefully maybe get some of it done before I need to leave. We shall see. It's a new day. It's Thursday. I have succumbed to the fact that I have got my daughter's cold. Hello, Ruffles. And it's so dark in here at 9 o'clock in the morning that I've got to have the lights on. So there's that. But last night I did finish up doing all of the, like making all of the fabric and cutting out all of the pieces for the medium and the small bags that I want to make. I've just got back from walking the dog. I've not even changed out of the stuff that I walked the dog in. I'm still wearing my 2 pairs of walking socks and my dog walking leggings because I just want to get these bags finished so that I can use them to then start sorting out my yarn stash, because this room is an absolute tip now, and I feel like if I'm going to start sorting out this room, then I'm going to want to start sorting out my yarn stash as well. So I need to get this done before I can then tidy up and get rid of all of the tiny bits of fabric and everything. So yeah, I think I'm going to start doing things 2 at a time. So doing both. This lighting is really terrible, isn't it? Is that better? I don't even know if that's better. Is that better? Is it worse? Oh, that's very spotlighty. Yeah, I'm going to start doing everything like at the same time, so that both the bags should hopefully be finished at the same time. But I do need to do some quilting, which always takes me an absolute age. So I've tried to be somewhat strategic in the fact that I got up much earlier than I usually do, walked the dogs when I was doing the school run, so that I can start a little bit earlier than I usually do. So I did this, apparently this is called the Aztec quilt block. It's quite cool. It broke my brain trying to do it. I just wasn't functioning properly. I couldn't work out which way to sew them sew the strips, because you essentially cut it and then you have to rearrange them and then sew them back together. Because these were originally like half square triangles. But I think it looks quite cool. And then I think I'm going to have it this way and then cut out the pattern piece so that it's sort of, I don't know, maybe like that. I don't know, maybe I could get 2 out of this actually. So I can essentially have 2 lots of this pattern piece on this quilt block. But I can't have it going the other way because it's not quite long enough, which is kind of annoying. And I don't want to quilt more fabric than I need to. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to unpick the bottom half of this quilt block. So I'm going to unpick this seam here and then just quilt this top bit. And then I can use the other side for something else, I guess. So I guess that means that I've done some work unnecessarily, but I guess I'll just have an extra quilt block to play with. I don't know. Anyway, that's what I'm going to do now, and hopefully get this quilting done before lunchtime. Lunchtime. I've also realised how horrendous my hair looks, but to be honest, I just can't really be bothered to go and do anything with it because it's so wet outside. I'm going to get absolutely drenched when I have to go and do the school run and the dog walks later. So this is what we're working with. Anyway, I have finished putting in the pockets and quilting and doing everything to the outer. So this is the small one, and I have also cut out the bottom pieces. So now the next thing I need to do is sew these side seams together and then add in the bottom. And then I've done the same for the, oh hello again Ruffles. I've done the same for the medium one. So this is the inside and all the pockets are done, and then the outside. And I've also somewhere cut out the bottom and quilted that and everything. So I am gonna pause and go and make myself some lunch because I am starving. Thankfully I did manage to get all of that done before lunchtime, and then I just need to essentially assemble the bags, which hopefully won't take as long as making the fabric and quilting it and everything. So yeah, I think it's going quite well. I'm really excited to get them assembled and done and actually be able to use them, because I really want to get some yarn wound today so that I can actually put it in there so that all of my projects are ready to go when I get to them. Bottom sewn on. It's time to add the bias binding to the bottom, which is probably my least favourite part. I don't do it how... So the first one I did, the red gingham one, I did do how the pattern recommends. This one, however, I have not been doing how the pattern recommends because, sorry, any of the other ones that I've done, I haven't been doing as the pattern recommends, because I found that doing it the way that the pattern recommends doing the bias binding up the side on the bottom is much easier for me. But that could just be a me thing, being somebody who just, I don't know. I wouldn't say I despise bias binding because I really do like the finish of it. I just don't like putting it on because it always feels like such a faff, and I always end up with it not looking how I would like it to. I think it's just sort of one of those things that maybe I need a bit more practice at. But yeah, it's just not a part that I massively enjoy. And so, yeah, I think that's fine, to be honest. There's not always going to be, you're not always going to love every single part of a project. And I think that's fine. I don't think that that's the end of the world. Okay, ready to sew it on. well, this is the inside, but I need to just add the top, and then I need to just make some ties as well for this one. I've finished up the medium one. I've put the top on and everything. I did manage to put the top on this one inside out, but as the top fabric is completely reversible, I decided I wasn't going to be bothered to unpick it and everything because you can't really tell. So yeah, that is fine. I did find some white bias binding that I've had hanging about in my stash for a good while, that I'm going to use as the ties for this medium one instead of faffing about cutting out more fabric to turn into ties for this one. But I am going to use some of this fabric for the ties for this one, and then they'll all match up with nice corresponding ties. I just need to get the top on this one. I didn't manage to film this last segment yesterday, but nevertheless we are going to do it today. I also have a little fluffy helper. Are you going to be helpful or are you going to be a pain? We shall see. Anyway, I did finish up all the bags yesterday, so I will show them to you now. I also thought it might be fun to round out this video by letting you know what I'm going to be putting in these bags. Okay, you're very close there. Hello. Yeah, let you know what I'm going to be putting in these bags because that is going to be the end of what I'm going to be making throughout winter. I always find it really kind of difficult to fit in a winter knitting plans because majority of the time in December I don't actually know what I'm going to be making, because a lot of it is to do with advents and things. So I also didn't even cast on my advent in December this year, and because I don't know, I ended up just knitting what I could, not what I planned on. So this will be the end of my like winter knitting, what I'm going to be finishing up January with and knitting in February, and then we'll start again with a spring making or knitting plans video in March. Are you going to let me show them the bags, or are you going to just insist that I pet you all the time? Because I kind of need to use my hands. I do. This guy is such a ding-dong. Okay, right. So this was the large bag that I made with the kind of, I don't think these are sawtooth stars because I think a sawtooth star has a plain square in the middle, but yeah, with this, oh, the window, with this like star pattern on, and I like the fact that these all fit inside each other, so it's easy to store them when I'm not using them, but to be honest, when am I not going to be using them? So yeah, this was the main one, and then I used the gingham to put in the middle, and it's got all the pockets and everything. And the thing that I'm going to be putting in this bag is my 2025 advent, because I really want to get it worked up. It was such a beautiful advent. I'll put a picture of all of it here because it is still in skeins in the box in here. But I have wound up one of the main skeins, so that will be going in here for now, and I'm going to finish winding them up and put them all in here, and I'm going to put the little ties around each of the little mini skeins so that I know which day is which. And the thing that I'm going to be making out of my advent this year is a Kintra by Clow. I'm going to be making the fingering weight version. It comes in both fingering and DK, and I'm going to use my advent to do the yoke. I only have 12 colours. I may end up using them twice. because I'm going to be knitting probably either size 1 or 2. I'm not sure yet. I need to have a look at the size chart. But yeah, that is what I'm going to be putting in this bag, and that is going to be my next cast on, because in my OG large bag is my husband's jumper, and as you can see, as it has grown to the point where it is almost filling the bag, I am pretty close to the end of this. So here's a little sneak peek before the podcast. I finished one sleeve and put some more work in on the body, and I'm almost finished on the second sleeve, so that will be hopefully finished fairly soon. It's definitely a labour of love, that one. So that is my OG bag, so then I'll have to figure out something else to put in here, but that probably won't be coming up until spring, so I will update you on that then. So then we have the medium bag. This one, I absolutely love this pinwheel pattern. I think it's turned out really, really nicely. This was the Liberty fat quarter that I had, and then this is a pillowcase. So it feels quite nice to have used not only like a pricey fabric, although it wasn't that pricey because I got it on sale, but a pricey fabric with a really kind of low-end thrifty fabric to make this, and then it's just more of the pillowcase on the inside with the pockets, and then I just used bias binding that I had lying around for the drawstring on this one. So it's a little bit thinner. The colour doesn't quite match. The pillowcase is definitely more of like a creamy white, whereas this is like a real stark white. But honestly, not bothered. Could not care less. So yeah, I think this is a really great size for like sort of mid-sized projects. Definitely not big enough to fit a jumper in, but, well, not a jumper for an adult anyway. But in this one, I am going to be putting the yarn to make my daughter a matching Kintra. Now, I knit us matching stripe overload cardigans, and we're still on the matching kind of hype train. So I'm going to be using... I'm sure the person with the loud car, they know when I'm filming, and then they decide to whiz past the window every single time. But in here, I'm going to be putting the yarns for her Kintra. So I'm going to be using the leftover woolly knit super soft merino 4-ply that I have left over. This, I think, is discontinued. I pretty much can't find it anywhere. And I'm also going to be... So I have these two balls. This one, top one, I have used a little bit of, but this one is a full skein. And then I'm also going to be undoing her effervescent mini to make this. So that's what I'm going to use for the main body and the neckband and the sleeves. And on top of that, for the colourwork yoke, I have done some stash diving into my fingering weight stash leftovers. I'm also going to be doing her a fingering weight version. I think the kids one only comes in fingering weight, but it'd be nice for her to have like a light layer to wear and for it to match mine. So I've got various different scraps left over from other garments that I've made for myself. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to use all of the balls of these. I would like to put each colour in at least once. So I've got, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 colours to use in hers. I may have a look through my stash and see if I've got enough to do 12, but I need to have another look at how deep the yoke is on everything, because it might be that 8 is more than enough for her size. So yeah, that is what I'm going to be putting in there. I'm probably going to knit up either I think there might be an age 6 and an age 8. I've not fully looked into the size range in the pattern yet, but I'm going to be knitting it up so that it is quite oversized on her so that it lasts a good while, because if there's anything that I've learned from knitting her that effervescent mini back in February last year, it's that I need to add in a lot more growing room in her jumpers at the moment, because this seems to just be a time where she is growing at a rate that is like faster than I can knit her things. So yeah, that is what is going in the medium bag. That's pretty much filled it up, but I think once I've like cast on and started using it up, it won't look quite so full because I'll be taking skeins out. And also I need to undo that jumper. But yeah, that is what is going in the medium bag. So I'm not sure if I'm going to cast on mine and hers at the same time, or if I will cast mine on and knit the yoke and then cast hers on or something. I'm not quite sure with that, but that is my general plan. And then my small bag that I made with the kind of sort of pointy striped, I think I called it the Aztec block, but I'm not sure if that's the official name, quilt block in the pillowcase and the random red fat quarter that I have. And then in the middle there is the same quilt block on the inside as the lining, but then the pockets are just in this sort of splotchy fabric. So that is my small one, and then the bottom is just red. And in this one I am going to be winding up and putting the yarn in to cast on a pair of gloves for my husband. So I said to him last year that I was going to knit him some gloves for this winter, and I've still not got around to it yet, but I will be casting them on fairly soon once I have finished my advent socks that I have on the needles at the moment. So this will be my like small project. I will probably also cast on a pair of socks, let's be honest. But yes, I'm going to be using the Claras Playtime Mitts pattern by Aimee Sher, but I modified it quite a lot to make him a pair of fingerless mittens last year. So not fingerless mittens, sorry, fingerless gloves last year. So I'll essentially just be doing the same modifications, but instead of keeping the fingers short so that they are fingerless, I am going to be knitting full fingers so that these can keep his hands nice and warm whilst we're out and about for the rest of the winter. So yeah, this is needle and thread BFL DK. I'm not sure of the colourway of this because I picked it up at East Anglia Yarn Festival last year, but it's just this lovely kind of like, it's almost navy, sort of like dark grey / navy, if it wants to focus on the yarn and not my face. So yeah, that is what I have got planned to go into my small project bag. Ooh, I thought that was going to fall in my water then. But yeah, that is everything that I have planned for the rest of the winter as well. So I hope you guys have enjoyed coming along on this little journey of making all the project bags with me. It was so much fun. I would definitely recommend this pattern if you are looking for a paid for pattern for making some project bags. It was really, really easy to follow. There's a video guide as well. And yeah, it was just so much fun, and it was really nice to try out making some quilt blocks for the first time. I've never really made anything like this before, so I've kind of decided that I probably want to make some more. Maybe I might even delve into the idea of making a quilt this year with some of my scraps, but that's definitely not something that I'm going to be doing straight away. I'm going to put a little bit more thought into it and have a look through all of my stash and everything as well. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope it's not been too kind of bitty and it's actually made some kind of sense. But yes, thank you all so very much for watching. I am going to get to winding some yarn now and probably doing some editing. So yeah, I am going to get on with that, and I will catch up with you all in my next video. Happy making!